Hello, everyone. I'm Kenny Rice, and welcome into the Horse Racing Show. Glad you're with us this week. The best 3-year-old in the country, one of the best horses in the country, Tiz the Law. The Derby favorite is ridden by Manny Franco, and the jockey will be joining us in just a few moments. Later on, the man who is on top of the Derby watch for Daily Racing Form, Marty McGee, will be with us as well. Yeah, it's time to start talking about it. The days are ticking down. At one point, September 5th looked so far away, but now it is right upon us. And it's interesting who is going to be there to challenge Tiz the Law, who has done nothing wrong this year. It has been a great training job by Barclay Tagg. One for the ages so far to keep this horse healthy and looking strong, and maybe even stronger in the Travers than he was when he won the Belmont Stakes. That is quite possible. What has also been interesting in the last week or so is the talk of looking even ahead to October and that first weekend, the Preakness in Baltimore, possibly Tiz the Law. And last week, Lenny Schulman even brought it up on the show. Maybe get some challenges from some fillies, not just Gamine, who looks like the best filly, but just maybe right on her heels, if not side by side with her, is a horse named Swiss Skydiver. Big winner last week at Saratoga. Kenny McPeak trains her. Looks like she's going to the Oaks right now. She is the only filly that is put up the points that's eligible for the Kentucky Derby. So that will make it interesting. We'll talk to Marty a little more about that. Ben Chafin's with us on lead guitar. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Kenny.
Are you getting excited now as the days count down? And I mean, it's getting shorter and shorter. We're talking, when you get under a month and you get into the last couple of weeks, when you talk about the Derby, something that looked like, wow, when's this thing ever coming when we were back in June and July?
Oh, yeah. I think I've got a fever, and the only cure is more Derby.
more Derby?
That's right, Derby fever.
People are excited about, I think, another thing that people are excited about is the fact that, the simple fact that it's a live sporting event. There will be fans there. NBC is going to be broadcasting all day long on Derby Day. They'll also be televising the Oaks on the NBC Sports Network. So there is that feel again that, live sports, that's live sports with spectators, very rare. And I think it's, again, a real credit. We've said this all the time, that horse racing has been the only sport that has gone throughout this year, through all the COVID, that has been out there racing, providing fans with live action. Now, the fans haven't always been able to come to these events, as we know, but they've been able to watch live horse racing. And horse racing's done, I think, an exemplary job of handling everything.
Yeah, and you got to wonder about just the fact that more fans might have come up just because it was the only sport that they could watch. The channels, and they're like, well, I'll watch this.
What I like about this show is, this appeals hopefully to those, obviously, fans that are avid fans of the sport, but fans that like a good story, like Tommy Drury last week, for example, with Art Collector. So I think that, and I think you're in that category. You probably have watched more horse racing this year than you ever have in your young life because of that, right?
Yeah, that would be true. That would definitely be true.
Yeah, so that is a point. Yeah, it was kind of the only game in town. The only other game in town out there with, live sports that jumped in first, even before baseball resumed and NBA resumed, was MMA. Horse racing and MMA. Two sports I have followed a bit. All right. When we come back, Manny Franco, he's 25 years old. He's been a pro since 2013, and he is riding the best 3-year-old in the country. It's certainly been a breakout year for Manny, and he will join us right after this. Thank you for tuning in to the Horse Racing Show. Welcome back into the Horse Racing Show. I'm Kenny Rice. Thank you for tuning in. Really excited to have this young man on with us. He is the jockey of the year so far. What a breakout season it's been. He did win a Breeders' Cup race last year, but now he has picked up a Triple Crown race in winning the Belmont Stakes. He rides the best 3-year-old in the country, one of the best horses around right now, and Tiz the Law. He is the jockey, Manny Franco. Manny, thanks for being on.
Hi, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
So what has this whole year been like for you? Going back, Tiz the Law and you, every step has seemed to be perfect so far.
and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to be on this talented horse. I know the year is been tough with the pandemic, but at the same time for me, I mean, the best year of my career.
You come over in 2013. You come over from Puerto Rico. You turned pro. When did you were just a kid when you first started, Manny. I imagine when you first got on a horse in Puerto Rico, you were probably just really a kid, a little boy, probably.
Yeah, that's right. The first day that I get on the horse was when I was 13 years old, maybe, and I really love it.
When you were riding very early, like you say, 13 years old in Puerto Rico,
Mm.
when did you think, hey, when did somebody tell you, or did you just kind of think, I think I'm good enough to come to the U.S. and ride in big races and have a career?
At that time, I really don't think about it, but because I mean I was in Puerto Rico and I say I'm gonna race here. I'm not go anywhere. I'm gonna stay here. But after when the days come when the day come, my dad just told me that he finds something here in USA. So that's the way I made the decision.
Wow. Do you remember that first win you got in the U.S., one of or an early ride that you had in the U.S. where you thought, I think I might be able to have a pretty good career going?
Yeah, I remember my first win here. It was in Canada.
And that's led to more and more. And what's it been like this year with the attention that you've been getting for Tiz the Law and obviously more interview requests this year because of the success with Tiz the Law?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I feel great having this opportunity, and I just enjoying the moment. And this is not easy to it's not easy to find a horse like that often. So I'm just enjoying the moment.
Well, the moment's been great for Manny Franco aboard Tiz the Law. I thought he looked about as strong in the Travers as he did in the Belmont, but you were the man aboard. What did you think of that race?
Now in the travel, I think it was another horse, because the performance in Belmont he was great too because he just opened up on them like nothing. But when he run here in the Travers, it was man, a lot better. It's very mature right now, so it's growing. So and Barkley is doing a great job too.
What's the relationship like with you and trainer Barkley Tagg?
Well, we are really good. I mean, he always he since I get here to New York, I always ride for him. So right now, he give me this opportunity. I just thankful, to get it. So
What has been special about this horse? Obviously has, but like looking from the first of the year and early on, from the Florida Derby to the Belmont to the Travers, as you say, he just seems to be getting stronger. I don't know how many gears he has, Manny, but it seems like every time you need him to do something, he does.
yeah, this is that's why he's special, because every time I wanna do something with him, he's there for me. So that's made my job a lot easier too. So
Have you
and
thought
like
much?
yes,
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. You said it just kind of makes it easy when a horse can just shift gears like he can, apparently.
of course, yeah, a lot easier. It make your job a lot easier.
Is he a pretty easy horse to handle?
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, he like I said, he does whatever you want. He's a nice horse. He's great. He can be behind horses there. So it's a cool horse to ride.
And I guess that kind of cool horse, as is Tiz the Law, is sets up perfectly for him to have a good run at 1.25 miles going in the Kentucky Derby in just a few days now.
Yeah, that's a good point for us, because the horse went to the 1.25 miles already and handled it like everybody see. So we are good from that part.
Was there any concern about the 1.25 miles going into that race?
Mm, I have a little bit of concern, but at the same time, I know the horse was going excellent for the race, and Barkley told me in the part of the distance is gonna be no problem. So I was more calm when he gave me the leg up and he told me that I was more confident.
Were you surprised? Has he surprised you at all, Tiz the Law? No matter how many times you've ridden him, does he do something in a race, the next race, that just makes you like him even more?
The way that he's winning, and racing by races, it's getting better and better. So I kind of like that,
Manny
the way the
Franco is.
performance.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything's gone right so far, Manny. You've done a great job. Manny Franco in a breakout year. I mean, you've ridden some good horses like Sharing and World Approval and Catholic Boy and World of Trouble. And now, though, when you get into a Triple Crown season and you win the Belmont Stakes as you have, and you're the favorite going into the Kentucky Derby, it seems a little different, the attention that's given to you and a horse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Everybody's watching me and the horse, So it's a lot different.
Are you thinking about Kentucky and what it'll be like to be at Churchill Downs and all that tradition and history, and you're going to be riding out of the paddock on the favorites?
I don't think it's gonna happen so fast, but I think the sky is the limit, and I work for it. That's what I want to do. Like I say, I always work hard for get this opportunity.
Well, you've certainly earned it. 25 years old, approaching 1,400 wins already. It's just been a tremendous season for you, and like you say, all that hard work you did as a kid growing up in Puerto Rico riding horses is really paying off for you right now.
Yeah, thanks God.
Do you hear from a lot of family and friends and cheering you on and wishing you well?
Sorry?
Do you have family and friends that are calling you up and you cheering you on and telling you way to go? And I'm sure they're very proud of you at home.
Oh yeah, every day, almost every day.
Did you have an idol growing up, a jockey that you looked at, Manny, and said, I'd kind of like to be like this guy, or I'm going to pattern myself a little bit like this guy?
Look, when I was in Puerto Rico in the school, we are Johnny B is a Puerto Rican jockey, so we always look at him. We always want to be like him. We say when we grew up, we want to be like him. So I like a lot Johnny B. So.
I was going to say, John Velasquez, an inspiration to a lot of jockeys, especially all the Puerto Rican jockeys.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first met Johnny V?
Hey, he was great. I mean, I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna happen. And because, like I say, I when I graduate from the school, I say I might stay here. But when my dad told me that I'm gonna come to the USA and meet this guy, man, it was a dream come true.
When the first time you were in a race going against John Velasquez, were you a little intimidated, or was it just exciting, or what was that feeling?
No, the feeling was just exciting. I'm gonna compete with this kind of guy. He's all of fame, so he just, like I say, a dream come true.
Yeah, and once you get on those horses in a race, it doesn't matter who the other guys are, right? You got to worry about what you got to do.
Yep.
Manny, if you could have a perfect ride and win the Kentucky Derby, what would that perfect ride on Tiz the Law be?
Yeah, I just wanna be you know, stalking like I did in the Bowman and the Travers, right there, stalking the face and go from there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and and obviously with the confidence that you have in him and that the way you all work together, uh, that would seem like a perfect setup coming down that stretch. And yeah, I don't know if it looks different a mile and a quarter to a jockey compared to another mile and a quarter race, but sometimes that Churchill Downs stretch can look pretty long. If you watch some of the derbies.
yeah, that's right, that's right. We Churchill Down is not a place, not an easy place to ride, but when you have the horse, and a horse like that make your job a lot easier, like I say.
Well, listen, congratulations on all the success. I look forward to seeing you at the Derby in just a few weeks now, Manny. And it's been a great run, and I know there's much more ahead with you and Tiz the Law. And at only 25 years old, much more for you and your career. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kenny, and thank you for having me.
Manny Franco, the very talented 25-year-old jockey of the Derby favorite Tiz the Law. More on the Horse Racing Show right after this. Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. I'm Kenny Rice. Glad that you can join us this week. Really delighted to catch up again with this man. Well-respected, well-known, a friend for many years, Marty McGee, Daily Racing Form. And Marty, welcome back in.
Good day, Kenny. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. And did we think that now we're going to be talking about the Derby like for real here? I mean, one time it looked like, oh, geez, when you go to May and June, look how far out it is. And here it is right upon us. And it's an exciting time once again, as all derbies are, even those that appear in the first weekend of September.
It's getting real. I mean, we've really had the field kind of come together. We know who the favorites are going to be, who the mid-price kind of horses are going to be, and who the big long shots are going to be. So at least in terms of which horses are going to be running, we're pretty solid on that, Kenny.
Tiz the Law has done nothing wrong, it would appear right now, Marty, and he comes in obviously the favorite in this. He looks maybe even better than he looked 60-some days ago when he was winning the Belmont. Certainly, I thought he looked stronger even in the Travers.
Well, we've got him 6-5 on our Derby Watch morning line, which is pretty low. You've had horses like Big Brown and some other really standouts go off 2-3 to 1 in the Derby in recent years. So people are talking about maybe he could be the lowest price favorite since Arazi was 4-5 back in 1992. It's been that long, 28 years. So we've had him. We've had one other horse who has been less than 2 to 1. That was Point Given in 2001. Otherwise, we've had these rather lukewarm favorites. That's what a 20-horse field will do to the odds board. But nonetheless, as you said, Kenny, he has been so dominant, winning both of his races in Florida and then both of his races in New York, of course, those being the Belmont and the Travers, in such authoritative fashion that a lot of bettors won't be able to resist even money or so on Tiz the Law.
As good as he's been, I think there might be even some surprise at how well he looks and is held up. And that was a big question. Would a great horse or a very good horse emerge from this crop with the Derby being moved back from May to September, I think, Marty, at the first of the year?
Yeah, that's for sure. When I left out of here last winter, Tiz the Law had been defeated at odds on in the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs. So I went to Florida, and he trained well there. He won the Holy Bull. He won the Florida Derby. And a lot of times, Kenny, we've seen horses kind of turn sideways. They don't continue to ascend. They don't continue to progress. But that certainly has not been the case with Tiz the Law. As we said, he went on and won the Belmont and Travers in such impressive fashion that he's really a standout in this field. At least on paper, there's a couple other horses in here who I'm sure we'll talk about to might give him a run for his money, but there's no doubting that Tiz the Law is going to be one of the biggest favorites in the Kentucky Derby in many years.
I imagine one of those is certainly maybe not just this Derby, one of the feel-good stories in a long Derby is trainer Tommy Drury bringing in Art Collector.
Oh, man, I am a huge fan of Tommy Drury and the owner-breeder, Bruce Lunsford, and this horse in particular, Art Collector. He has been untouchable in winning all 4 of his starts since Tommy Drury took over the training of him. Tommy had not won. This is incredible. He's been a trainer since, I believe, 90 or 91, so that's 30 years. He had never won a graded stakes until Art Collector won the Bluegrass Stakes. So he still has, going into the Kentucky Derby, 1 career victory in a graded stakes. And believe me when I tell you this, Kenny, that is not reflective of his true abilities as a horseman. So it's like he's an overnight sensation after 30 years in the business. So he is a great story, heck of a guy. I've bent elbows with him before on numerous occasions. He's one of those guys you can't even remember when you met him. It's been so many years. But a lot of people on the Tommy Drury bandwagon right now, and I think deservedly so.
Yeah, I mean, because with all the it's like a Disney movie in a way, isn't it? There he is. He gets his moment, and I think the deal was right. Bruce Lunsford said, you win the race, you keep the horse. That was when he was in an allowance at Churchill to start this run that he's had.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a Disney movie. It's like I'm sure that he is waking up in the morning and saying, what? I'm going to the barn, and I'm going to see one of the favorites for the Derby, for the Kentucky Derby, where, he trains out there at Skyline Training Center. It's about 23 miles from Churchill Downs. And he's been out there in no man's land for years, and he is going to have one of the favorites for the Derby. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, it really is a great story. And like you say, for all the emotion and the sentiment that might be involved, he's got a heck of a nice-looking horse out there.
I mean, he was terrific in the Bluegrass when he blew away Swiss Skydiver, who came back and won again easily in the Alabama 1.25 mile race, grade 1. And it's like Tommy told me right after Art Collector won the Ellis Park Derby. He says, "'Tis the law has beaten who he's beaten. We don't know who he's beaten, and we've beaten who we've beaten." It's like the East versus the Midwest, and then of course you'll have the California horses, both Authentic and Honor AP. So, as my friend Phil Thomas, longtime now retired trainer, said, it's going to be a great Derby, but which one isn't? I mean, this is going to be a heck of a Derby.
And, and I don't know if people thought it would be this way back in May when it was announced it was going to be moved back to September, who would hold up, the training schedules change, prep races for the Derby, like suddenly the Travers is a prep race for the Derby. Everything's going to be so flipped around this year. What kind of Derby would we have? But, we're back to the basics things, aren't we? Like you say, you got the East, you got the Midwest, you got the West. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it is kind of weird. We're only going to have 22,000 people or whatever there, and the weather's going to be different. The sun is going to be fading differently on the horizon when they run the race, and it's just going to have a different feel to it. But when they get in that gate, I would expect we'll get 20 because we got horses come out of the woodwork now, 18 days ahead of the race. So I would imagine we will have 20 horses in the field. They'll need that new gate that they've assembled, by the way. They got the new 20 starting instead of the 14 and the 6. They've got a 20 stall gate. But it's going to be we're going to get that same feeling. Like this will be my 47th Derby in a row, Kenny, and I still get real nervous before the race just because I know that history is going to be, it's going to be the type of thing I never forget. So I'm going to get those same butterflies right before they run the race, I'm sure.
Talking with a very talented writer, Marty McGee, Daily Racing Form. He has the Derby Watch, which I think is must reading to keep up on this scene. And what were you, like 2 years old when you did your first Derby, right? You said you've been like 47 of them, I think.
40. This will be my 47. My dad would not let me go until I was a freshman in high school. So when I was in the 8th grade, Secretariat ran, and I remember, come on, Dad. Come on, let me go to the Derby, and he wouldn't let me go. Of course, my brother and sister, they got to go before they were in high school because the cow was out of the barn by then. But I'd really, the last one they ran without me there was Secretariat.
Wow, he was a pretty good horse. He turned out to be good. I don't know if you've seen the tape or the replay, but
he was all right.
He was all right. Hey, if he had lost that virtual Derby, there would have been an inquiry, wouldn't it? Remember when they did the virtual Derby back in May?
Yeah. Boy, they were really starved for content, weren't they? Justify got away bad, or one of the good horses, like one of them got away bad. Like, how does this happen?
I know.
Justify won the Derby by breaking like a shot and just splash mud in everybody's face. So, yeah.
I'm always amazed at some of the recreations, but like you say, at that stage, and that's been one of the great things about horse racing this year, Marty, is I believe some people that didn't follow the sport have started following it more simply because they were starved to see some live sport. You can only watch so much Ukrainian ping pong.
That's right. Yeah, they handled $10 million a day at Fodder Park and somewhere in Nebraska. So yeah, that's pretty much testament to how people kind of found out. Newcomers found out about the sport.
Yeah. Did you think that we might be talking about it? I did not think we'd be talking about a 20-horse field, say, by the last part of May. But like you say, it's looking more and more that way because you wonder, look how tough it is for 3-year-olds to hold up over the course of the Triple Crown season. But then again, they hadn't had to run the Triple Crown season except for the Belmont, of course.
Yeah, you've got horses with, one other than or two other than conditions. There's a horse named Winning Impression who, for example, he's owned by the West Point Thoroughbreds Syndicate, and they just love to be part of the spotlight no matter what. I mean, the horse has very little chance to win. He was 7th in the Ellis Park Derby after running, I believe, 7th in the Bluegrass. But they just, if there's an empty stall in that starting gate, somebody like them wants to fill it up. So I think I'm pretty sure. I think we take entries on the Tuesday before the race. I think we'll have 20.
You mentioned a couple of horses out west. Bob Baffert, would have probably had maybe the top 2 favorites or 2 of the top 3 with Tiz the Law if we'd had the Derby run when it was supposed to be run in May, of course. But he's still back in the picture and coming in once again with a real contender in Authentic.
He's got Authentic. He's got 1,000 Words. He ran a 104 buyer in his last start in the Shared Belief at Del Mar. So you were referring to both Charlatan and Nadal, who, ironically enough, on May 2nd, the original Derby date, they were the respective winners of divisions of the Arkansas Derby. So, yeah, he would have been a real factor back then. But here we are, fast forward 4 months, and he's got a couple of fringe contenders in Authentic, who won the Haskell by a nose after having run second to Honor AP in the Santa Anita Derby. And the Honor AP got beat by 1,000 Words, the Baffert horse, in the Shared Belief. But I think Honor AP, Kenny, it's going to be about even money on Tiz the Law, about 5 to 1 or so on Art Collector, and Honor AP, clearly the third choice, around 6 to 1. He's got Mike Smith on him, so just that in itself will get him some support.
We're talking with Marty McGee, Daily Racing Form. Stay with us. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with more right here on the Horse Racing Show. Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. Kenny Rice here. With me is Marty McGee, Daily Racing Form, who each week keeps up with the Derby Watch. Has it been more challenging than ever before, Marty, to keep up with the Derby Watch this year as compared to other years where you have kind of a pattern? Obviously, you know what the races are leading up to the first Saturday in May.
Well, very much so. I mean, initially this was Joe Hirsch's beat, back in the day when you and I were young guys running around Keeneland, and he come in for the Bluegrass and all that. It was, just 3 weeks out. And actually, I remember when I was going to UK, it was only 9 days out. But yeah, I just started on it this year, Kenny, and I guess I'm the jinx to the damn thing because, look what's happened. But I'm doing it in tandem with my longtime colleague, Jay Pridman from California. He's done it for about 20 years. We had some layoffs and such, so they plugged me into the spot. It's been a joy and a chore at the same time, just trying to wrap your arms around what is like a herd of cats in terms of who's doing what and why and all this. Yes, there were patterns to it before. This year, everything clearly is out of whack, but I think we got things settled now, and hopefully we're gonna, like we were talking about before the break, it will be a good experience for everybody who sits down and watches the Derby on September the 5th.
Yeah, I was thinking these races pop up. I go, yeah, I guess that is a Derby prep this year. I forgot about that. I forgot the Los Alamitos Derby counted this year.
Yeah, and the Indiana Derby and the Ellis Park Derby and the Shared Belief, whatever that is, out at Del Mar. So, yeah, they're all – we had the Pegasus finally a week ago Saturday, but nobody came out of that that's going to run the Derby.
You mentioned Honor AP. We didn't really get to talk a whole lot about him. John Sheriffs, of course, people remember Giacomo, John, well-respected, well-known, had his moment there with has had many moments, of course. Zenyatta, the moment, I guess. But, he's coming. He does, I like guys that don't pop into the Derby very much. You know what I'm saying? And you go, I don't think he's showing up to show up, in other words, a guy like that. Same way with Barkley Tagg, obviously, with a very standout horse.
Yeah, I kind of like it. You got Tommy Drury, Barkley Tagg, and John Sheriffs. John Sheriffs is a guy who's known for walking softly and carrying a big stick. He doesn't, he won't use too many words when answering your questions, but, he lets his horses do his talking for him. As you said, both Giacomo and Zenyatta among his greatest horses. But this horse has a way of going, Kenny. He's kind of low-headed, kind of like the AP Indy, and I think that's his dam sire is AP Indy, and he's just kind of, I call them anteaters. They got the real efficient, low-headed kind of gait, wherein it really works for them. And if there is enough speed in here in this Derby, and both Tiz the Law and or Art Collector get caught up on a too wicked pace once they round the bend into the stretch, I think Honor AP is definitely the one horse who could come and get him. So he's been given a great chance. He's been the schedule's worked out in his favor in terms of the spacing of the races, the way that John Sheriffs likes it, and I'm sure that when he gets here from California, he's going to be get a lot of attention as a major contender for Derby 146.
The horses that right now have maybe moved up, let's say, that would not have been horses we talked about over a month or so ago. And, some have kind of come and gone. Uncle Chuck maybe looked like a horse at the moment, for example. Is there horses out there that have really impressed you in the last few weeks? I don't know if it'd be like like New York Traffic or a Dr. Post or, I don't know, whoever else out there.
Yeah, I was going to say New York Traffic. I mean, he was really coming on when he got beat a nose by Authentic in the Haskell. He's trained by an up-and-coming trainer out of South Florida named Sappy Joseph Jr. Enforceable has trained real well for Mark Cassie over the last few weeks after running okay in the Bluegrass. Dr. Post for Todd Pletcher, a familiar name. He had a nice work. And I think he's pretty much confirmed for the Derby after running third in the Haskell. Max Player has switched barns from Linda Rice into Steve Asmussen. He had a work at Churchill recently, and he was a good third in the Travers after running a good third in the Belmont. And then there's a real enigma, kind of unknown, Kenny, and that's King Guillermo. He hasn't run since he was second in a division of the Arkansas Derby. He's owned by the former Major League All-Star Victor Martinez, trained by a fellow named Juan Carlos Avila. He will try to win the Derby off a 4-month layoff, which is, as far as I know, is unprecedented. So he's one of the many would-be contenders, along with Caracaro, who of course was second in the Travers. So there's another half dozen or so right there who, if one of the three favorites don't win, they could step in for a historic upset.
Talking with Marty McGee, and Marty, one of the stories has been about the filly. What would Swiss Skydiver do? And she's the filly that obviously has the points that could be in the Derby. It looks like Kenny McPeak, the trainer, is leaning more towards the Oaks. And, we could even look ahead and look at that. If that is the case, she runs in the Oaks. What a race the Oaks could be with her and Gamine.
Gamine, a lot of people have been like tugging on Bob Baffert's cape and saying, come on, man, run her against the boys. But he has pretty much ruled it out all along. Kenny he hasn't actually shut the door, I don't think, on the Derby, but it's darn close. So, it's been 10 years, I think, since we had a filly in the Derby, and it's been, 32 since we had one win it. So that would add an exciting element in what's already been a crazy year anyway. But nonetheless, we will have a terrific renewal of the Kentucky Oaks on September 4th.
And, some are already projecting ahead. Wonder how that Preakness would look. Let's say Tiz the Law wins. He's going for the Triple Crown. Could two of the top challengers against him be like a Gamine and a Swiss skydiver. The two girls will try to beat him.
That'd be awesome. That's, of course, that's going to be instead of 2 weeks out from the Derby, it's going to be 4 weeks. It's going to be October 3rd at Pimlico in Baltimore, and I've got my plane already booked for that. So I don't know if we will have a Triple Crown on the line. I may be quite the anticlimax if, in fact, Tiz the Law gets beat here by Art Collector or whomever else. But what a crazy schedule we got going with the Triple Crown this year, Kenny.
Well, and then just around the corner we wrap up the Preakness in time for the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to do the fans here. We got a limit of like 23,000 fans at Churchill for the Oaks and for the Derby. There's some, I haven't heard any behind it, because I'm stuck in my house like pretty much everybody else, more or less. And I don't know what the scuttlebutt is for the November 6th and 7th Breeders' Cup at Keeneland vis-a-vis the fans, but back in 2015, they had to bring in all that PGA style of stadium seating. I don't know if they would want to go to the expense or trouble of that. It's just I'm interested to see. Let's get through the Derby first and see what happens if we really need the Preakness to be the final leg of the Triple Crown, and then we'll go to that. But I'm sure the Bob Elliston and all the folks there at Keeneland are working diligently to try and figure out what's best for the Breeders' Cup setup on November 6th and 7th at Keeneland.
Marty, with so many of the sports we're seeing now played without fans, I think it's huge that they're going to have just any kind of crowd at Churchill Downs. How many sports right now would like to have half of 22,000 or 23,000 show up at an event the way it's gone?
Yeah, I mean, initially they were talking 50 or 60,000, and then, the Indy 500 canceled their fans and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, they scaled it down even further. The governor, I'm sure, is a little worried about how it's all going to play out. We've got some, some social justice issues here in the city of Louisville that might rear its head, et cetera. So, man, these are some tenuous times right now in terms of how it's all going to play out, and hopefully it all work, Kenny. I don't know. It's you haven't really seen anything in the United States in terms of a large crowd, the car races or wherever, golf tournaments, none of it. So when the Derby said, Churchill said 50,000 or 60,000, they're like, what? No, I don't know about that. So now they've scaled it back to 22 or 23, and let's see how that works. Yeah,
when I thought it was a good move when at first I wondered why would they pick the first weekend of September when they made the announcement back, I guess, in April, that the Derby was going to be moved in somewhere in that time period.
Yeah, I think it was mid-March.
Mid-March, yeah. I guess it was,
18th,
yeah, right when all this started. Yeah, mid-March. And, but then I started doing the math, and it made sense that they were hoping, and things have improved to an extent. We know there's still serious matter, but I don't believe that any other date earlier than that they would have had any hope of having a fan.
Yeah, you're right. And, this thing has dragged on quite a bit. They're talking about it going, well into 2021 and all that. So, a lot of consternation, a lot of planning going on. And, I just say my prayers about maybe nothing untoward will happen with this Kentucky Derby.
If Tiz the Law pulls this off and wins the Derby, I mean, this is going to be one of the great training feats, I think, Barclay Tagg will put in. It's 77 days between the Belmont and the Derby. And as we know now, in the days, just now we're talking just weeks and days leading up to the Derby, which horse is still going to be healthy, how the horse is looking, basically all the things we talk about if we're in late April getting ready for the Derby. But for Tiz the Law to hold up like he has really been an impressive feat, I think.
Yeah, time has been a great teller, in terms of Tiz the Law's, his durability, his longevity. We've already mentioned a number of names: Uncle Chuck, Cezanne, Nadal, Charlatan. Brad Cox had 2 or 3 of them go by the wayside. You had you don't even remember that Wells Bayou won the Louisiana Derby on March 21st, did you, Kenny? Huh? So, see?
Well, I know Brad, so I actually did know that, but I was thinking, no, that's Maxfield. Think of the Derby.
Maxfield. Oh, what a big one. Oh, I was crushed the morning I was notified that horse had broken down. So, yeah, there's been all. I remember on March 15th, the last time I've been to the track one time since March 15th. I was at Ellis for the Ellis Park Derby. But the last time I went to the track back then was March 15th. And Brendan Walsh gave me this wry smile like, oh, yeah, I can use that extra time with Maxfield. And then that came and bit him on the butt. So, yeah, it's been a crazy way to get here, and that's further testament, I think, when you talk about all these horses that went by the wayside, as to what the kind of job, as you mentioned, Kenny, that Barkley's done with Tiz the Law.
Yeah, you could have a virtual almost what would have been Kentucky Derby. Look at the contenders that no longer are with us on the trail. That would be interesting.
Yeah, and then you'd have a speed horse like Charlatan get away bad. So yeah,
you get away back. Because it was done in a computer service in Australia or England or something. I can't even remember. Well, Marty, as we count it down, it is kind of interesting. We got the same, no matter late April, late August, are the horses, how are they going to be? Like you say, we've got the stories. We've got the star in Tiz the Law. We've got the feel-good story of Art Collector. Bob Baffert's back in it with 2 horses for sure, Authentic and 1,000 Words. Todd Pletcher is in the running with Dr. Post. Here comes Steve Asmussen now getting Max Player. In other words, some of the usual suspects are right back on the scene and right in the thick of it.
They are, but it's always a different story. It's always a unique race, like we said, with Tommy Drury and Sheriffs and Barkley. Barkley, if Barkley wins, he'll be the oldest trainer ever to win it. I posted something on Twitter this morning, on Wednesday morning, about Barkley Tagg. He ran a horse. This was back in my days with the Baltimore Sun. He ran a horse in 1987 on consecutive days. The horse's name was Owl and Tree, like the bird, Owl and Tree. He ran a horse. He ran Owl and Tree on February 12th. I just looked it up and put it on Twitter. February 12th, 1987, the horse ran 4th. And then the next day, he ran him a mile, and he won. And I asked Barkley about this last fall when he was here for the Kentucky Jockey Club, and he didn't remember it. So literally, Barkley Tagg has forgotten more about training than some guys have ever accomplished. So it's an awesome thing having a guy like him here. He could be the oldest trainer. He'd be 82. I think Whittingham's the oldest ever at 77, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great story. You're right. And if there's one guy that appreciates social distancing in the horse racing world, I don't think there's a better guy than Barkley Tagg, and I say that with affection.
Yeah, he gets a bad rap. He's a good guy. He just, he's kind of he doesn't like to. I don't know if I want to say doesn't really multitask. He wants to do it one thing at a time, and all the other distractions, he's not really for that.
Now, you know what? To me, he's the quintessential horseman, and he's well respected. And like I talked to him before we did the interview up at Belmont, I said, that's I think that's what a lot of people like about him and respect about him is, it's just a different personality. He was never or ever pretended to be the guy, the go-to interview like you would a Baffert or a Lucas over the years. He's Barkley, and he's done it well.
Absolutely. Him and Sheriffs, and for that matter, Tommy Drury too. So, yeah, let's have a good Derby.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, Tiz the Law wins the Derby if it's run in the morning, right?
I don't know about that. I'm all Art Collector. I haven't liked the horse this much in the Derby, Kenny, in years. I really like the way this horse goes, and I think he's going to upset Tiz the Law.
Wow, and what a story that would be. And Marty, I will look forward to seeing you. If we have masks on, I would still recognize you and wave.
I got you, buddy.
All right, pal. Thanks so much for being with us. I'll see you at the Derby soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kenny. Talk to you soon.
All right. Always a pleasure catching up with Marty McGee, Daily Racing Form. Stay with us more on the Horse Racing Show right after this. Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. I'm Kenny Rice. Ben Chafin's with us as always, as well as ace researcher, Mr. Thomas Kenny. And Thomas, days away from the Derby. Let's take a look at that Derby leaderboard right now. Give the fans out there some ideas on horses to keep paying attention to.
Yeah, Kenny, there's a familiar name right at the top, one of Barkley Tagg's horses, Tiz the Law, with 372 total Derby points right now. He's earned just shy of $2 million total so far.
He's done everything right, and then right behind him, Hey, Bob Baffert. Once again, we speak of Mr. Baffert, who has the number 2 spot on the leaderboard.
Yeah, that would be authentic. He's won 3 races so far, the Haskell, San Felipe, and the Sham. He ran a close second in the Santa Anita Derby.
And certainly one to watch for. Art Collector, we talked to his trainer, Tommy Drury, last week. Possibly the feel-good story in a long time at a Derby coming in there. And he's legit at number 3 on the leaderboard, and we heard Marty McGee really likes him maybe to win it all.
Yeah, that's right. We've got 2 notable first-place wins, the Ellis Park Derby and the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland.
Honor AP is an interesting story, considered the best in the West by several people. Now that may be challenged by Authentic, but Honor AP with trainer John Sheriffs, who has won this Derby with Giacomo, is a very interesting horse to look at, I think.
Yeah, he's sitting at number 4 with 140 points, most of those coming from his win at the Santa Anita Derby this year.
New York Traffic might be the hot horse, the horse that could come up and pull an upset if you're looking for an outside shot, perhaps.
Yeah, New York Traffic, or I guess NY is how it's spelled.
Yeah.
But doesn't have any notable wins so far, but he did finish second in the Haskell Stakes and the Louisiana Derby.
And basically, we're expecting close to 20. We may have a full field of 20, or at least right in that ballpark. So horses like New York Traffic, like King Guillermo, who hasn't raced in 4 months, like another Baffert horse, 1,000 Words, are horses that are entertaining. You got to keep an eye on them. And Dr. Post is another one, trained by Todd Pletcher, who comes in at number 8 on the leaderboard, Thomas.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Post, as I pull up my stats here, he's number 8 on the leaderboard with a 3rd place in the Haskell, and he ran 2nd in the Belmont.
And he has that Todd Pletcher connection, who obviously has won this race a couple of times. So those are some of the horses to look at. I do think it's going to be fun and interesting, and we're going to be talking more about the Derby in the next couple of weeks because that's what it's all about. It's about the Derby. We'll be back to wrap it up right here on the Horse Racing Show right after this. Welcome back in. This is episode 81 of the Horse Racing Show. And, of course, it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty now. It's just days away from the Kentucky Derby. People are excited about that. Thomas Kenny, you've made your Derby pick. Or right now, you can change it, as everybody can. But right now, who do you like?
Well, I've always been one to not necessarily take long shots, but maybe, avoid the favorites. So I'm thinking Todd Pletcher's horse, Dr. Post, might be the one to watch.
And Ben Chafin's you pick?
I got to go with our guest here that we've had on and go with Art Collector. I just love that story, that idea. I want to see him finish it.
Well, this is, 2 good picks. I mean, it's going to be interesting. They're going to fill up that new gate, that 20-horse gate that they brought in that I didn't think they'd be able to fill up back in, say, late May. But it's going to really be interesting. Right now, I'm not picking anyone. I'm waiting to see. Thomas, thank you. Ben, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks to Manny Franco. Thanks to Marty McGee. I'm Kenny Rice, and this is the Horse Racing Show.